Hey, sports fans, Larry Eder. This is your favorite program, Socialing the Distance. I'm with Paul Doyle, who is the CEO of the American Track League. We've known Paul for many years from a position he just stepped down as that of Doyle Sports Management, where he had some of the most iconic and still has some of the most iconic athletes in our sport. Ryan Krauser, Sam Kendricks, Sandy, as I always love to call her, Sandy Cheeks, which totally cracks me up. And Mike explained that to me, Sandy Morris. But Paul, great to see you.
You too. Thanks for having me.
And so we saw a couple really cool notes on the Global Running News Service by Alphonse Uke about the American Track League. And let's start from the beginning. You've done the American Track League outdoor for 2 years?
Well, believe it or not, our first meet was in 2013. So
wow.
Yeah, it's been evolving for quite some time. But
okay.
The last real big year we had it was 2016, when we had 2 events just prior to the Olympic Games.
Okay. And those are meets, you locate them in your environs in the southern region of the U.S. pretty much?
Yeah, they have mostly been there. We're not against bringing it across the country. We actually this year we're planning to have one in Chicago, and just because of COVID, we ended up deciding to stick with the University of Arkansas instead. But we were going to be this 4-meet series we're planning. This indoor season was supposed to be Chicago, Louisville, Kentucky, Virginia Beach, Virginia, 3 brand new amazing.
Yeah.
But instead we decided, you know what, we'll push that to 2022 when hopefully this COVID thing is under control. And this year we'll just stick with Arkansas, because the AD at Arkansas and the track and field staff were unbelievable at getting us set up and accommodating us. So
now what we're watching is this last summer we watched meets being held outdoors during COVID, and they have their own special list of requirements. What is the next level? I suspect there's even a higher level of protocols you deal with an indoor meeting. Is that correct?
Yeah, they're pretty strict. So we have to have COVID testing of all the athletes and people in the arena. There's as of right now, we're going to go with no fans. There is a possibility to have fans, and maybe in our second and third and fourth ones we start to have fans and start to ramp it up. But in order for us to have fans, what we're going to do is actually have testing on site, rapid testing on site.
Wow.
We would limit it to 100 fans. They show up at 1:00, they have their test, and then at 2:00 when we have the results, they're allowed into the arena. So we're working on different things like that. You know, because obviously we want to, you know, it's great we're going to be on ESPN and have that coverage, but we also want to have that atmosphere within the arena.
Sure. Too. Yeah, that's been, I think, part of the challenge this last summer. Some of the meets, I mean, you and I have been at all the European meets, and you know, we applaud them for what they did, but it was a challenge. I mean, Monaco, I think, got it because they were able to get some people in the stadium, and in talking to some of the athletes, they explained that to me. But it's a challenge. Now, can you tell us the events yet that'll be in the first meet, or is that still a little premature?
It's not premature. We're just taking athlete lists right now, and we've confirmed quite an amazing group of athletes so far. Certain events are just off the charts. You know, interest in them, like the women's 300 for whatever reason.
Oh yeah, that's a fun event indoors. You know.
Yeah, but we could have you know, 4 heats of very, very good quality athletes. You know, athletes from Wadaline Jonathas to Shakima Wembley, Jenna Prandini, Gabby Thomas. Like those type of athletes are all lining up for that 300. So there's going to be some really interesting events. But then in the men's 60, Trayvon Bromell, Andre DeGrasse, Marvin Bracey.
Oh my gosh.
Men's 400 is going to be highlighted by Fred Curley. So Sandy Morris, Ryan Krauser. It's really the who's who of track and field for the U.S. and even a lot of foreign athletes as well. Like Omar McLeod will be there.
Nice.
You know, Andre DeGrasse that I already mentioned. So yeah, we're really looking forward to putting on a great show.
Will you have a men and women's pole vault at each event?
At most events, we're having a women's pole vault at the first one. Men's pole vault is a little bit up in the air. We were generally trying to have one field event per gender.
Cool.
That we highlight in the first 30 minutes of the program.
Yeah.
But we've had some extra demands for some more field events. So we may do that, highlight 2 field events at the first 30 minutes of the program, but then also have a field event that continues throughout the main program as well. So
very cool.
This first meet, we weren't planning to have a women's high jump, but Randall Cunningham called and said, "Hey, I want to send Vashti." And I said, "Okay, well, let's see what high jumpers we can get." And we have the top 7 in the U.S. all confirmed now. So it's.
How are you able to get in European athletes right now, or what's the challenges for you?
We haven't made much of an effort to. We're pretty much sticking mostly with North American athletes, North American-based athletes. Yeah. I'd love to bring some over, but I think there's a lot more opportunities over there. It doesn't make a lot of sense for them to come here. Yeah. Unless they're like an Isabel Peterson in the hurdles, for example, that's training now in the U.S., so she could come in. What
would you like track fans to know about the American Track League?
Well, I want them to experience it. And when we did these events in 2016, as we got to the tail end of the event, I ran over by the exit and I talked to everybody that was leaving, and massive smiles on people's faces. Everybody said, "Oh, this was awesome. This was great." And it's because we present the meets in a fun, energetic way. And we have music, we had live bands, we have DJs, we have dancers and things like that. Now, this year is obviously going to be a little bit more challenging with the COVID restrictions and all. But for the American Track League, I always said it's my goal that when people come to an American Track League meet, they leave the stadium with something they're going to remember for the rest of their lives. That they had such a good time and it was so much fun, and they really saw the sport displayed properly.
That's cool. How much time is ESPN giving you for each meet?
We're going to be 2-hour window.
Wow, cool.
Yep.
And who will be have you decided on announcers yet?
We're talking with some of the best guys, but nothing firmed up yet. So, but we're hoping to. We have a lot of sponsor talks that are going on as we speak that will
good for you
help guide that in a certain direction.
You've put your heart and soul, but also your financial support into these things. One of the things I liked about it, Paul, is the way you do things is you tend to put your heart and your wallet where your dreams are. And that doesn't happen all the time. And I admire that with you. There's been a few other groups doing events. I saw Jesse Williams, the Farmer Brooks guy. He had some success with his what I call them pop-up meets. And the way that I see them is they're more for the athletes. What I'm seeing the differentiation, and again, there's room for, I believe, everything. I want to see more meets in North America. What you're doing is you see that fusion of sport and entertainment.
Yeah.
And you get it that first couple times I went to meets in the UK with Ian Stewart. Ian told me that he always orchestrated the final event before people left to blow their minds.
Yeah.
And it's what you're talking about is leaving them with something that they go, wow, Exactly. So we'll see 60 hurdles, high jump, shot, pole vault, 300, 400. Yeah. Are you going to do any middle distance events, or kind of where are you at with that? Or are you looking at that?
Yeah, we're definitely doing middle distance events too. So we'll have a women's 800 in the first.
Cool.
And we were planning a men's mile, but I think right now there's a lot of athletes on training camps and altitude, and that's what we don't want to come down. It's a little bit early for the milers. So we'll probably end up, because we have so much interest in the women's 300, we'll probably end up dropping the men's mile so that we can have more of the women in the 300.
Cool.
Out of that. Cool. But then week 2, we are going back. We'll have a women's mile and a men's 8. We have Clayton Murphy confirmed in that 8 for week 2.
Nice.
Yep. Yep. I think Emma Coburn has expressed some interest in the mile the following week as well. So
Cool.
I
Cool.
think we'll certainly have some really good athletes in these mid distance races as well.
Part of the complication for you, well, anytime you do a meet, you have to deal with hosting athletes. Is it further complicated under COVID?
It is, but I think we're going to be able to handle it quite well. It's the roommate situation in hotels is going to be difficult, so it's going to be, unless you have a training partner or someone that you can room with that is COVID free and you don't have any issues sharing with them. It's going to increase some challenges a little bit, but it's nothing we can't get through.
Mm-hmm. You had you've spoken to a couple media groups recently just about the challenges of doing meets. Mm-hmm. What is your when you approached ESPN about this programming, were they pretty supportive?
They were. There's a guy, Kurt Bell, who handles track and field for ESPN and the scheduling of all that, and he's a big track fan, former runner himself, and all that. So I think he was really instrumental in getting this pushed across the line. Mm-hmm. But I think ESPN looked at the success of the meets that we had in 2016 and thought, hey, these were great events in 2016, and now we have the possibility for having a series of 4 of them on continuous weeks as the NFL season has winded down. I think it's very appealing to them. Mm-hmm. So I think this will be a really good case study moving forward. So they're already talking with us about doing a whole series of outdoor meets as well. So
fantastic.
Yeah, our hope is that the American Track League we show what it can do this indoor season, and then we start to get a lot more sponsors behind it and events scheduled for the outdoors. I could see us doing 5 meets ahead of the Olympic trials, and then 3 meets between the Olympic trials and the Olympics, and then post-Olympics do sort of a heroes tour and have a final big meet. We're actually trying to plan a big multi-sport event, so with swimming and gymnastics and volleyball as well.
Cool.
So we would hope to do that after the Olympics as a hero tour.
Would you see that being done in Atlanta, or have you gotten that far? So
we've had a few different locations that we've looked at, and there is one spot just outside of Atlanta that we're looking at that would be I think pretty incredible for all the sports. So we have an outdoor swimming events and beach volleyball and that sort of thing.
Your athletes competed last summer, Ryan and Sam and Sandy, each to a different extent. How was that juggling those athletes and getting them competitions?
It was a challenge. It definitely was. I really applaud Remy Carpenter of Monaco, the assistant director for Monaco, for really being the catalyst that set up the European season, because he was the first one that took the risk and took the chance to make special arrangements to get athletes over despite travel restrictions and that. And once they were over, that opened the door for athletes to travel within Europe. So yeah, it was a very challenging time, and Remy really stepped up and got the ball rolling. But I mean, even right now, I had a call 30 minutes ago from Jeff Hartwig saying that all the airlines that take pulls in Europe are shut down till March. So we've got all these pole vaulters going over to Europe this February. Yeah. There's no way to get their pulls around. So we're trying to coordinate getting a car to drive from this meet to that meet. The athletes can take the train or fly. It's a bit crazy juggling all that.
Yeah, you have to hire Mondo's mom, Yeah. I heard she drove 3,000 K to get his pulls somewhere because Dad was a little wigged out about Mondo not having pulls somewhere. So that's
the thing. That's Jeff has built a career on that. Jeff Hartwig,
yeah.
In the world that knows more about that than him. So
yeah, he's pretty amazing. I always get a kick out of talking with him, and I mean, that's one of the fun things. That thing I've missed this last year is my first year in 20 years not going to Europe. Wow. And it's just I can only watch.
I hadn't realized. I hadn't even thought of that.
There's only so much Polish and Russian TV I can watch. Although I do enjoy Russian track meets. I mean, because they really get into it too, but I never have any idea what they're saying. So,
Yeah.
what else would you like people to know about the American Track League? So it'll be a 2-hour window on ESPN. We'll make sure we get the times and everything up. So the University of Arkansas at Fayetteville will be your host. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, we had a conversation with Chris Buckman and Lance Harder, the two head coaches there, and they were all for it. They realized, they have a few professional athletes that train there, and they say these guys have opportunity because the college meets are shut out to the pros.
Yeah.
It's such a challenge to get to Europe. And when I approached them about having the meet, they jumped on it and they said, Matt Downs, their director of operations, was really instrumental in getting it pushed through. But the AD, hats off to him. It's not easy at this time to take a risk and something that's not necessarily directly helping the university athletes, for them to make the association with us to allow this to happen is huge. So, hats off to the Arkansas Athletic Department for doing this for us. And ultimately, I think it helps the university as well, gives them great exposure. We are looking at selling international TV rights as well. Mm-hmm. And the time slots that we have are perfect for Europe. They'll be 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. start times in Europe as well.
Killer.
So it works out well that I really feel like we can get, great exposure in the tens of millions for these events.
How's World Athletics embracing your series?
Oh, they're propping us up big time. So they're really wanting us to, to get these events off the ground. They're willing to broadcast the events on the YouTube channel as well.
Great.
For wherever we're not covered from TV broadcast. So they've been really helpful as well, trying to push us through and get us to that, hopefully get us to the silver level. Mm-hmm. So then athletes can use these events to get additional ranking points and qualify for the Olympic Games through our events.
Now let's talk about coverage for a bit. So ESPN's terrestrial TV, but they also have streaming services. Obviously, they have social media. Will they also broadcast it on their social media as well? Or how do they do
promote it? Yeah, we just had actually discussions with them this morning. We're actually looking to do potentially some shoulder programming that would be broadcast on ESPN3 in the lead to the events. So even when we're at the event, say we're at week 1, we'll film some different content to push out to promote the next week as well.
Good.
So that's the one good thing about having athletes at the same location for 4 weeks in a row, where we can promote and push that sort of thing.
Now, let's go there for a second. So you'll keep athletes in the same place. Most of those athletes will stay in the environs?
We're trying to work that out. No, but there are quite a few athletes that do already train in Arkansas, like Sandy and Ryan Krauser. So for them, it's a no-brainer. But we're working it out sometimes that if an athlete wants to come in for 2 weeks to compete at 2 of the weekends, that they would stay the week in between.
Okay.
Training times is challenging because we can't have the pros in there training at the same time that the university athletes are training. So we're trying to work out a protocol that will be accepted where the athletes could stay, even if it's a handful that they can stay.
Now, I was raised in St. Louis, and Fayetteville's not too far from there.
Right.
But my guess is Fayetteville gets pretty darn cold. I'm up in Wisconsin. I've got 2 feet of snow. Fayetteville gets some pretty serious winter action, correct? So people are not competing out or training outdoors.
No, so that's the challenge, getting access to the indoor track, which I think the baseball program is attached to the building as well. So working around baseball, and then obviously track training schedules with all the different event groups and that sort of thing. So it may be possible that they have a 7 to 8:30 p.m. window for the pros to come in and train, and we'll work something out, hopefully. Now,
the facility at Fayetteville, that's the Tyson Center, is that correct?
It is, the Randall Tyson. Yep.
Yeah, that was, I remember the stories about that because Mike Connolly was instrumental in helping getting Mr. Tyson to see the benefit of doing that. And that place rocks. It's a Mondo track? Is that a Mondo or Banked?
Yeah, it's brand new, renovated. They just reopened it about 2 weeks ago.
Banked, right?
I'm sorry?
Is it banked as well?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah, it's one of the fastest tracks in the world, honestly.
Yeah.
They constantly held NCAAs there
Yep.
about 10 years ago, and some of the times we got out of there, there's multiple world records have been run on that track.
Mhm.
So, yeah, we're really looking forward to that. I've got a couple of athletes that we've been speaking to that are coming in that are really planning some big marks. So,
speaking of big marks, Ryan Krauser looks on the cusp of taking over every. I mean, last year, what does he have? 10 of the 14 best marks in the world, and he did it in a week. And you know,
I'm a stats guy, right? So I look at it prior to Ryan Krauser coming along in his career. Mm-hmm. Most times anybody had thrown had 22-meter competitions in their career was 16. Right.
And who was that? Was that Gunter or was it?
Gunther Werner. And then also Christian Cantwell, if you count it indoors.
Yeah, you're right. You know, Christian was always a lot of fun, man.
And then Krauser comes along and does it 12 out of his 13 meets one year. And this year, not competitions, but in 2020, he threw 22 meters 36 times.
Wow. I got to have that down, so I'm going to use that in the tweet. Sorry, 36 times. Okay. So what makes Ryan so special? You've observed him, and I don't get to ask managers that often, and I'm just curious because you observed him forever.
Yeah, well, I think the fact that he's essentially been a shot putter since the day he was born, kind of like Mondo Duplantis has been a pole vaulter since the day he was born.
Yeah,
and I think Ryan is just such a student of his event and his body, and he understands how training works. He's probably one of the most knowledgeable guys in the world about strength and conditioning. Mm-hmm. So he's tweaked his own training, knows how he responds. He's got to the point where he knows his body inside and out. And he's honestly the most powerful man in the world.
Wow.
I remember he posted on his Instagram, he was doing a hang snatch with, I don't know what it was, 140 kilos or something like that. And they have the bar monitoring the speed of the bar. And he said, I hit 3773 watts today on the snatch. And I said, that sounds like a big number. Is that good? I said, but what does that mean to the layperson? He says, well, I don't think anybody else could do that. I said, you mean like NFL guys? He says, Paul, nobody. He said, when the guy broke the world record in the power clean, he hit 3,600 watts. I said, I just hit 3,770.
Wow.
Yeah, but it makes sense that, the most powerful guy in the world would be the best shot putter in the world, right?
Yeah. No, that, and you look at his speed in the ring. The discus thrower John Paul was my assistant coach when I was coached at Foothill College, and he would have me watch throwers' feet to figure out their speed, to figure out their accuracy and stuff. Mm-hmm. And you watch Ryan, and it's just like, man, the guy's quick, but he also has control. I mean, that's one of the things we talked about in the interview with him. Was he talked about the whole challenge with the spin, and there's maturity with it, and I think he's got it. Talk to me about your pole vaulters. Sam in pretty good shape?
Sam's in unbelievable shape. He's such a consistent pole vaulter, and Sam has he's accomplished what he's accomplished, handling his training in a very controlled way.
Yeah.
So Sam has never been the type of guy that says, I'm going to train my butt off, get super fast, super strong, and blow the world records out of the water. He says, no, I'm going to be a consistent vaulter. I'm going to keep my body healthy, stay fresh, and I'm going to jump 6 meters often enough whenever I need to, and I'm going to win pretty much everything. Now comes along a guy like Mondo Duplantis comes along, raises the bar. So Sam realizes, okay, well, I can't be satisfied with 6 meters anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and start to try and jump higher and be competitive. So he's actually made a pretty unbelievable progress in this off season. So I think you're going to see a Sam Kendricks that comes out this year and certainly, it's, believe it me, I know Mondo, what he's accomplished has been amazing, and nobody's ever been as consistent at this height that he is.
Sure.
But I don't think it's by any means a foregone conclusion who's going to be the best vaulter this year. I think Sam is definitely going to push him.
You've got Sam, you've got Monto, you got Piotr Lysick. I mean, both Sam and Mondo, just, and I've watched Piotr a lot. And
really
and
good
Renault
guys coming up too.
yeah. And I don't think Renault is Le Villeneuve is still one of the most competitive athletes. Let's go to the women's pole vault. Sandy has taken global seconds everywhere, and I know when I interviewed her, you could see that kind of change. She's starting to kind of get to the place where she goes, okay, yeah, I really like these silver medals and all stuff, but I'd really like to be the top athlete. How do you see her progressing?
Yeah, Sandy is the most talented girl in the pole vault, in my opinion. She has the highest ceiling of these girls.
Yeah.
And she's just had a little bit of a stall in her technique that hasn't quite advanced, but she's really in a place now. I think mentally she understands her body and she knows what she needs to do physically. So she's focusing more on the technical side of things to make improvements there. And she's, in the 5 years we've been working together, I've seen her develop in that way. That she used to go into competitions just thinking about how she felt physically. And now she goes into competitions knowing the changes she's focusing on making in her jump technique that's going to ultimately pay off. Because she's fast enough, she's strong enough. It's just a matter of now fine-tuning her jumps. I mean, I think the girl is easily capable of 520, 525.
Wow.
It's just a matter of her getting there and making those changes to do it.
I just remember Mr. Bubka making comments, and I'd love to razz him every once in a while, and he's so charming about it. But there was a time when he said, well, when women get over 5 meters, then we'll start talking about it. And I know part of it was entertainment value, and Isinbayeva got annoyed and all that stuff, and it all those things raised the bar. One of the things I like what you're doing about your meets too is you understand it's track and field. Okay?
Right.
And I get so tired of meets not putting in field events.
Yeah.
Some of the most colorful athletes and most entertaining athletes in our sport are in the field events. I mean, I tell the story about Christian Taylor and Pichardo. I thought they were going to get into a boxing match, man, in Lausanne one year, because he went up and he Pichardo pissed off Christian so bad that he won 18-5, man, and it was beautiful. But if you were not watching it, right, if you're not like watching every time Sam vaults and Mondo and you're watching it build up, or you're watching Lazaskina in the high jump, you don't get it, and that's part of the storytelling. I think we need to do better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think part of that challenge is because it's difficult to display these events on TV with so much going on.
Yeah.
If you're in the stadium in Doha at the World Championships in 2019, the field events, to me, stole the show.
Yeah.
Forget Mutaz and the high jump, the hometown story there, but look at men's triple jump, men's pole vault, women's pole vault, men's shot put, women's high jump. These events were all incredible with lead changes and things like that. And I remember specifically the men's pole vault, the women's pole vault, and the men's triple jump, because right after those events in the stadium was a sprint final. You had the women's 100 final, the men's 200 final, and the men's, I forget what the other, men's 100 final or something. We're all coming up right after those field events. Yeah. And the crowd got so into those field events that when they were done, they walked out of the stadium, a lot of these people. Now, in Doha, you had the most lay fans we've ever had at a world championship, I think.
Yes.
So for them to see, the excitement of the field events, and then, a sprint's coming along, let me get to my car. So
No, I think that's it's interesting when it plays really, really well. And we've got this era right now with some incredibly colorful and talented field athletes.
Sure.
And that's I'm glad to see the Diamond League bringing back the triple jump and some of the other events too, because I thought that was a challenge. So your full schedule events for the first meet
Mhm.
as they stand now? Run them by us one more time.
Okay, so it's 60 and 60 hurdles for both genders, for men
Okay.
and then
Okay.
we're going to have 300 women and 800 women, 400 men, and right now a mile men, which may be dropped because of just not enough participants there.
Sure.
And then on the field event side, men's shot put, and then we're going to do women's high jump and pole vault.
All right. And then do you have your events for the second meet, or is that a little early?
I have them. It's again 60 hurdles for both genders.
Okay.
And then the women do a 400 and a mile.
Okay.
And then the men do a 200 and an 800.
Okay.
And then again, men shot put there.
Okay.
And then on the women's side, we're doing a long jump and a pole vault.
Cool. You think Ryan's ready to blow it out of the stadium?
Ryan's always ready to throw it in the stadium. Okay. Yeah, and I think the world record is within reach. He's often hitting it in training, so it's just a matter of him hitting it right on the day. I think he just needs to not force it. It'll come when he doesn't expect it. So,
part of what's taken away, there were some wonderful world records in the distances this last year, but what's taken away from it is people are obsessed about the shoes and the technology. Yeah. And for, my company for years has reviewed shoes for the last 35. I see the difference in technologies. Yeah. What hasn't changed much, quite frankly, have been some of the field event shoes, especially in the shot put and the discus.
Right.
Do you see any of the changes that they're doing in the spike, the specialty spikes for sprints and for middle distances coming over and affecting the field events?
I don't think it will have as drastic of an effect. Of course, if you figure out a sprint spike that's much faster and you put it into a long jump shoe, that could be a big difference there.
Sure.
More speed will definitely help some of the other events, pole vault for sure as well. I'm sure there's new technology that could help high jump as well. Yeah. But I think the throws are probably, I may be wrong, I may be naive in thinking, but I don't think there's much effect they can have on the throws.
Yeah. No, it's fascinating watching the guys get faster, the men and women getting faster and fitter in the throws. And their technique getting better too. I mean, that's the thing that Ryan talks about, is that I asked him what the difference between a big throw and a modest throw is. And he says, when I finish my throw, I can tell you, because he feels it. And I find it fascinating. So it's, I'm excited about this series, Paul. You're doing some really cool stuff, and we'll do everything we can to promote it. Will you do Zoom press conferences before? Are you going to do some special interviews with athletes?
Yeah, we will. We've got a lot on our plate, but we're definitely going to plan some Zoom press conferences, and we're going to make a big social media push in the week leading up to the events.
Good.
And then Good. I think we're just going to gain momentum as the 4 weeks go on as well. So hopefully we have athletes participating that are helping promote it and then promote the future events as well.
Cool. Well, we would love to do interviews with any of your key athletes, and if we can help you with anything, we'll get it out there. So American Track League will be January 24th and 30th, and then also February 7th and 13th. What's the time period that you're going to do the meets?
So we're 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard on the first one, and then we go an hour later, the second one.
Okay.
Then Super Bowl Sunday, we're the perfect lead into the Super Bowl. We're 4 to 6 p.m.
Wow.
30 minutes before the Super Bowl.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then we're actually waiting on our time slot for the fourth one.
Okay. That's cool. That's awesome. And then you will, if people want more information, what website do you want them to go to?
AmericanTrackLeague.com. We'll be updating that with information very shortly.
Okay. And you have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram?
Yeah, and everything's going to be TikTok now moving forward, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think people are getting kind of, yeah,
we'll
especially if you're
start to launch our TikTok soon.
yeah, the younger crowd too. I think that makes a big deal. Well, Paul, thank you so very much. We're going to get this up and we'll break it up into segments and stuff and share it with you. But we featured Paul Doyle today on Socialing the Distance. Paul is the CEO of the American Track League, which he's been holding meets since 2013. He's got 4 meets indoors, January 24th, 30th, February 7th, and 13th. We'll have the information up on the site. Paul, thank you so very much. Look forward to seeing the meets, and always great talking with you.
Yeah,
it's
thanks,
always,
Larry. Thanks for
it's always
having
a lot
me.
of fun. All right, Happy New Year. Talk to you soon.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Hey, sports fans, Larry Eder, Run Blog Run. This is your favorite program, Socialing the Distance. This week we featured Paul Doyle. Paul is the former CEO of Doyle Sports Management. Now he's the business director in that group, but he is the founder and CEO of the American Track League, American Track and Field League, actually, because he does push field events, and we love that. He's going to have 4 indoor meets in 2021, January 24th, January 30th, February 7th, and February 13th. They'll be at the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville at the famed Tyson Center with a brand spanking new banked 200-meter track that is going to be screamingly fast. In the first meet, they're going to have the 60 hurdles for men and women, the 300 for women, and the 800 for women. They're going to have a 400 for men. Right now, they have a mile planned for men, but they may put it off because all the guys are at altitude. And they're going to have a men's shot put, a women's high jump, and a women's pole vault. The fields are North American, are foreign athletes training in the U.S., Omar McLeod, possibly Vashti Cunningham, also Sandy Morris, Sam Kendricks, Ryan Krauser. There's going to be some screaming heats of the women's 300, which should be a lot of fun. Women's 300 is awesome to watch indoors. And Paul's enthusiasm during our interview can be seen from minute 1 to minute 40. Paul is one of those impresarios who puts his heart, his soul, and his wallet, his own money, into events, and those are the people that I respect. He has a 2-hour window, 4 weekends with our friends at ESPN. The first event on the 24th will be from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. The second event on the 30th will be from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. The third event on the 7th precedes the Super Bowl by a half an hour, 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And then they're working on their February 13th time slot as well. But there'll be 6 events in each meet. They'll be at the Tyson Center at Fayetteville. The University of Arkansas staff, who has international and elite athletes training there, have been very, very supportive. So go Hogs. We're really happy that Lance Harder and some of the other folks there, really good people, Matt Downs, the meet coordinator there, are putting on these events, and we will support them in every way we can. Paul Doyle, again, has a great group of athletes. Ryan Krauser, who I believe is on the cusp of destroying the indoor and the outdoor shot put world records. Sam Kendricks, who I think we can see. Sam has been a consistent guy at 6 meters, but most consistently he's a championship athlete. But Mondo has raised the bar, so Sam's got to get up at that 6'5", 6'10", 6'15". Can he do it? I think he can. And Sandy Morris, another one of Paul's athletes, Paul believes that she can go 5'20", 5'25", which would be phenomenal. And women's pole vault, men's pole vault, they're going to have a long jump shot, some good 800s. I think that this is a worthy addition to the series. Congrats to World Athletics for supporting it. Paul thinks that with the money support that he's putting in and his sponsors are putting in, that these can be silver level meets. And it'd be great to see 4 meets like this tied in to the World Athletics Indoor platform. I think it's really important. Indoor track is a big, big deal. It's a great introduction for young people to athletics. And if you've got grandkids or kids and you want to get them to see something when the pandemic is over, because there's a possibility of fans in the second and third and fourth American Track League meets. And what they would do is they would have on-site testing. You'd show up at 1, you would be tested at 2 p.m. They would know, and then they let you in. But they're only going to let in like 100 people, and meet 2, meet 3, meet 4, if that happens. So they're thinking about all these things. They also have to keep the athletes. Some athletes they'll keep who train there all the time. That's cool. But there'll be athletes, if you're competing in 2 meets, you're going to have to stay down there for a couple of weeks, it sounds like. So there's going to be some interesting juggling, and it'll be fascinating to learn about that. ESPN's going to have it on their terrestrial platform, but also on their social media, and also on ESPN3, and they're going to do some out-of-competition video and filming. So we'll hope to see that and retweet those things too. But I think Paul's got a great idea here, and he's one of those guys who just keeps going, and so I celebrate entrepreneurism in this business, and to do it in a pandemic is, it's insane. But we knew Paul was also pretty special. And Paul Doyle, congratulations. Looking forward to seeing your athletes, your creation now in its 7th, 8th season. And good things come to people who do good things. So this is Larry Eder with RunBlogRun, and this is our programming, Socialing the Distance. This is the epilogue. Yes, where I just wax poetically. Well, if you call it poetically. I need breakfast, so I've got to go get some food. Talk to you guys soon. If you like RunBlogRun, like us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, please. We need to grow our numbers. Keeps the sponsors happy. If you love us, subscribe to YouTube. We did 336 different types of interviews through Zoom, through SoundCloud, through audio, through video last year. They're all up for you guys to see. Enjoy them, pass them around, send us questions, send us ideas on what you'd like to do. And thank you to Mike Deering, who's sitting in the background going, God, I need a cup of coffee and I need a workout. Mike is the producer of Socialing the Distance and Athletics Chat, and him and Adam are the Shoe Addicts. Adam Johnson are the Shoe Addicts, and they have been supporting RunBlogRun since 2010. So again, good things come to good people. And thank you, our audience, for supporting what we do. It means a lot. Talk to you soon. Happy 2021.